The endless highway. The road had been empty for so long that Daniel Mercer stopped checking his mirrors. At first, he still looked every few minutes out of habit. A glance at the rearview mirror, a glance at the horizon ahead, then back to the endless stretch of pale asphalt cutting through the dry countryside. Nothing behind him, nothing ahead. Just telephone poles marching beside the highway like they had somewhere better to be. The sky was painfully blue, not a single cloud. The kind of heat that made the distance shimmer. His old Chevrolet groaned softly beneath him as the tires hummed against the pavement. The windows were rolled halfway down, letting hot wind push through the car in uneven bursts. The radio remained off. It had been off since morning. Daniel preferred the silence. At least that's what he told himself. His fingers tapped absently against the steering wheel while dry fields drifted endlessly past him. He couldn't remember the last town he'd seen. Maybe an hour ago. Maybe longer. Time felt strange on open roads, especially roads like this. He loosened his tie with one hand and glanced at the dashboard clock. 3:17 p.m. The second hand ticked once, stopped, then continued. Daniel frowned. For a moment he considered pulling over. But there was nowhere to pull over to. Only road, only heat, only the sound of wind. He kept driving. The first strange thing he noticed was the sign. Millhaven, 42 miles. A faded green highway sign leaning slightly to the left. Daniel barely paid attention to it the first time, but nearly 40 minutes later, he saw it again. Same dent in the metal, same rust along the bolts. Millhaven, 42 miles. He slowed slightly, looked in the mirror. Empty highway. He laughed once under his breath. "You're tired," he muttered. His voice sounded uncomfortable in the silence. Daniel reached for the radio, stopped halfway, then pulled his hand back. The silence felt safer. Another hour passed, or maybe several. The sun never moved, still hanging in the same place above the road. Still bright, still merciless. Sweat clung to the back of Daniel's neck. His throat had become dry enough to ache. Yet, strangely, he wasn't hungry, wasn't exhausted, and the gas gauge hadn't moved. Not once. Daniel stared at it for several seconds. Full tank. Impossible. He'd been driving since morning. A knot tightened slowly inside his chest. The road stretched ahead of him in one endless line. No turns, no exits, no cars, no birds, nothing. Then, another sign. Millhaven, 42 miles. This time Daniel slammed the brakes. The Chevrolet screeched violently before sliding to a stop on the empty highway. Silence rushed in around him. The engine ticked softly. Wind scraped dust across the asphalt. Daniel stepped out of the car. The heat hit him instantly. He looked behind him. The road stretched endlessly backward. Ahead, the same. No intersections, no buildings. No movement. Only the sign beside him. Millhaven. 42 miles. His breathing became shallow. "No," he whispered. The word disappeared into the empty afternoon. Daniel approached the sign slowly and froze. There was writing scratched into the metal beneath the mileage. Words he hadn't noticed before. You should have stopped. Daniel staggered backward. His heartbeat suddenly thundered in his ears. No. He looked around wildly. Nothing. No one. Only the dry wind moving through dead grass. Then, somewhere far behind him, a car horn. Daniel spun around. A long stretch of empty highway. No vehicles. The horn came again. Distant, mournful. His face drained of color. He got back into the car and drove. Faster this time. The road began repeating itself after that. Not just the signs. Everything. A crooked fence post. A dead tree split down the middle. An abandoned gas station with broken windows. Every 40 minutes. They returned. Again. 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 Daniel stopped speaking entirely. His eyes remained fixed ahead while the sunlight burned across the windshield. Sometimes he thought he saw movement far off the road, shapes standing among the fields, watching. But whenever he looked directly at them, nothing was there. The clock still read 3:17 p.m., always. Hours later, Daniel noticed something in the back seat. He saw it first in the mirror. A small shape. He nearly drove off the road, twisting around violently. Nothing. Empty seat. Old coat. Dust. He swallowed hard. His hands trembled now. The wind outside had changed somehow. It no longer sounded like wind. It sounded like whispering. Not words. Just the shape of words. The sound of people speaking from another room. Daniel pressed harder on the accelerator. The engine roared. The speedometer climbed. The road remained exactly the same. Then the whispers stopped. And for the first time, the radio turned on by itself. Static exploded through the car. Daniel flinched. The static crackled violently for several seconds before a voice emerged beneath it. A man's voice. Old, tired. Still pretending. Daniel's blood turned cold. The radio hissed. Not your fault. He shut it off immediately. The silence afterward felt worse. Eventually, he saw smoke. Dark smoke rising somewhere ahead on the highway. Daniel slowed unconsciously. The smoke curled into the bright sky in a thick black column. Something had happened up ahead. Finally, something real. As he approached, traffic lights appeared first, then police cars, an ambulance. Daniel's heart lurched. People moved near the roadside, distorted by heat waves. He pulled over hard and stepped out of the Chevrolet. Nobody looked at him. A paramedic rushed past him without making eye contact. Daniel opened his mouth. "Hey!" No response. His pulse hammered violently. Then he saw the wreck. A crushed Chevrolet wrapped around a bent guardrail. Its front end flattened inward. Glass everywhere. Smoke drifting upward into the burning afternoon sky. Daniel stopped breathing. The license plate matched his. Slowly, very slowly, he approached the wreck. There was a body beneath a white sheet beside the road. One arm partially visible. A wristwatch, silver, cracked glass, stopped at 3:17. Daniel stared at it silently, then looked at his own wrist. The same watch, the same crack. Wind moved softly through the fields. Nobody acknowledged him. Nobody saw him. Daniel's face slowly collapsed into understanding. No. His voice broke. No. Fragments surfaced inside his mind then. Not memories exactly. Pieces, headlights, rain, a scream, hands gripping a steering wheel, something lying on the road, and himself driving away, breathing hard, telling himself over and over, "It wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault." Daniel staggered backward. Tears filled his eyes. For the first time in years, real tears, not fear, not panic. Something heavier, something older. The wind moved through the highway with a low, hollow sound, like distant mourning. Daniel looked back toward the endless road. It waited silently beneath the burning sun, patient, as if it had always known he would return. He stood there for a long time. Then slowly, he walked back to his car. His hands shook as he opened the door. He sat behind the wheel. The engine started on its own. Daniel stared ahead at the infinite highway stretching beyond the horizon. And for the first time since the drive began, the sun moved. Barely. Slowly descending toward evening. Daniel closed his eyes. A tear rolled down his cheek. Then he drove forward, and the road continued.